Why can't this just be a Conor McGregor figure? You're incredibly smart, WWE. Let's bring in young athletes. Let's cultivate talent. Let's build them up. Let's groom them. Let's make them household names. Let's make these guys the next stars in popular culture. Our contribution to popular culture is making this person and this person and this person and this person. Never doubted that that's what they want to do. Never ever doubted that. The problem is that they are trying to make their next generation of talent the next John Cena. And in particular, I really think that that's the problem with the whole Roman Reigns run and what they've been doing with him, especially in the last year or so. If you haven't seen it, or if you haven't picked up on it, look at the things they're doing with him. You're seeing him at all the charity events, and that's cool. That is cool. I don't have any issue with that. But they're kind of trying to present him in the same light as Cena. He's having goofy promo material like John Cena. I mean, who can forget that friggin' Superman promo? Remember that? Pew! I mean, that's very John Cena. That's pretty much smacking you in the face, letting you know that he's the next John Cena. A lot of the things that they're doing with him, it's like they're trying to make him a John Cena clone. It's almost like, do you remember that WrestleMania entrance at WrestleMania 24 when John Cena done his entrance, right? And it was for the triple threat match, and he came out and everyone was dressed in John Cena attire. It's almost like that was a vision of the future, of a potential future, and with regards to what our next crop of main event guys will be like, John Cena clones. And in a lot of ways, they're starting to do that with Roman Reigns, and that's the problem. And I want to touch on something. Can Roman Reigns be a star like John Cena? Yes, potentially he could be. Is Roman Reigns going to be a star like The Rock? Yes, potentially he could be. The key word is potentially he could be a star like them. The problem is they're trying to make these guys the next John Cena, the next Rock, and that's not working because it's just like this. If you go back throughout the history of time, and I said this about 3 years ago. I said this about 3 years ago on a video, and if you haven't seen it, double check it. It's Life Lesson on Pro Wrestling, and I said it a few years ago. When you look at the main event stars in pro wrestling and you look at them and what made them so great and what made it so great when these two people interacted and feuded with one another, is that they were not like the other person, if you know what I mean. Go back and think about it like this. Ric Flair was not like Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes was not like Magnum. Magnum was not like Sting. Sting was not like Luger. Luger was not like Goldberg. They were all different. Now, in the WWF, it's like they've never really learnt from this lesson because they always do this every year. And when you look at why one guy was the star and was the guy and why the next guy was the guy, it's because they were different. You had Bob Backlund, you had Bruno Sammartino, you had Hulk Hogan, you had Ultimate Warrior, you had Bret Hart, and all of these guys got over and had success as professional wrestlers because they were not like the previous person, their predecessor. Bret was nowhere near like the Ultimate Warrior, and that's why he worked. Bret was nowhere near like Hulk Hogan, and that's why he worked. If Bret started coming out in red and yellow and doing Hogan-like interviews, I guarantee you Bret would nowhere have been successful as he was. Shawn Michaels was not like Bret Hart. That's the thing. They had their individuality, they had their individual traits, and that's why one person had their success and then the next person had their success. Steve Austin was absolutely nothing like Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels or Hulk Hogan, and that's why that worked. Mick Foley was absolutely nothing like those previous guys, and that's why he worked. The Rock was not like any of these guys, and that's why he worked. Because they had their individuality, it was a little bit more organic, and things just flowed. And you would think, once again, that if they looked at their own history, why these previous failed experiments didn't work, it's because you try to make this person like the last person. For example, and I talked about this a while ago, Hulk Hogan, after the Hulk Hogan era, they went with Lex Luger in the WWF in the 90s. And they tried to make Lex Luger the next Hulk Hogan. I mean, they literally smacked you in the face with the idea that Luger was the next Hogan, except he had more hair on his head, he was younger, he was more athletic, he had a better body. They even gave him a tour bus and that hilarious I'll Be Your Hero song. They had him going around, shaking kids' hands, kissing babies, hugging big women, going in the ghetto and playing basketball with the urban kids. They were trying to make this guy the next Hogan, and it didn't work. It did not work. What did work was Bret Hart. They tried to do something similar with Kevin Nash at one point, and when they went in that way when he was Diesel, it didn't work. It did not work at all. So you think that they would learn from this, but they don't. And that's the problem with this whole Roman Reigns run for me personally. Also, the fact that the big idea to get him to the top is to feud with Bray Wyatt, but that's another topic altogether. The Bray Wyatt feud, just for the record, is doing absolutely nothing for him. They've been feuding forever. I need this feud to end. Bray Wyatt was a hot commodity. He's not anymore. And we can talk about that in another video. But the point is, you would think for a company that has all the plans for Roman Reigns that they would be sitting there and thinking, what can we do with Roman to get him there? What can we do with Roman to make the fans really want to see him? I know, let's make him the next John Cena. No, no, no. He has to be somebody else. He has to be something different. And that's what they're not getting. There is no version of this event where Roman becomes like John Cena and it works. The fans will be repulsed. When you make him a little bit different and you give him some different traits to John Cena, it will work. But you see all the things they're doing and it's just like, oh God, this is just ridiculous. You can actually make this a reality show. And I'm surprised that the WWE have never actually gone there. You could make this a reality show. You could literally make it a reality show about making the next John Cena. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they call it. Anyways, guys, that is it. That's my little tangent done for the day. I'm going to do another video later because I've been hearing a lot about Alberto El Patron, formerly known as Alberto Del Rio, going back to WWE, and I have a lot to say about that. If you haven't already, give me a thumbs up, comment down below, write down below, share the video, tell a friend, subscribe, and do you have the same sentiments that I do? Are you noticing that they're really trying to make him a John Cena type personality? Guys, take care, peace, and have a good one.